It was late at night a few weeks ago now that I first noticed a mysterious and intriguing looking title on the banner at GOG.com. I don't have a picture of it, I didn't think I'd be doing this episode, but regardless, Night of the Rabbit is certainly not the kind of title you see nowadays among video games. That's a title, as in name, like not the title, It's always chronicles this and origins those, but this is a title that brings me back to the days when titles were mysterious and bred curiosity in the minds of shining young imaginations. And even if I didn't buy it on the spot, that title stuck in my mind. Night of the Rabbit. What could it be about? I'm guessing it has something to do with the rabbit, and he may or may not be nocturnal. I knew nothing about this game, other than its title, an assumed main character, and that it was a point-and-click adventure game. I needed to know more, and I needed a topic for a new episode, so I embarked on what I hoped would be a fantastical adventure, the same kind I had back in the days of King's Quest and Myst, which I had missed so very much. My desire was strengthened when I began the game. The subtle and brooding music on the main menu set the mood perfectly for this intro.
Oh, who are you? Can you not speak?
It left so many questions, but tells us just enough so that we're not dropping into some random magical occurrence that'll make us go, say what? Although, when I got a look at this guy, I said that anyways. The enigmatic titular rabbit steps aside quickly and hands the spotlight over to young Jerry Hazelnut, a boy who lives with his mother in the most conveniently idyllic country home, just the kind of springboard for the magical fish-out-of-water story I was hoping for. After that, the game gets off to a slow start. It's a lot of the same old, like the old point-and-click adventures. A lot of random items that you pick up and drag around and hope that at some point they'll all fit together. It's just a matter of figuring out how, which can take hours! Once you finally put together this first bit of the game, we are introduced to the Marquis De Hoto, the rabbit from the title, and after that amazing artwork and the opening scene, I gotta say, he's kind of a letdown.
Permit me to introduce myself. I am the Marquis De Hoto.
I suppose I built it up for myself too much. The way he didn't speak in the intro, the artwork they used to promo the game, certainly didn't imply this.
I know much more than that. Your summer vacation ends the day after tomorrow.
That's right, unfortunately.
Mathematics.
Kind of waiting for something a bit more mysterious.
Dry chalk.
That aside, the game moves on, and the real meat of the story begins. Which isn't necessarily better. I really like the tone of the game. It's like a King's Quest game produced by Studio Ghibli and written by Terry Pratchett. Although it's not quite as funny as a Pratchett, and it's certainly not as detailed as a Ghibli production, but it's in that ballpark. The biggest problem is that for so long the game doesn't offer anything by way of moving things along. We get to meet all of these characters who are well-defined and have lives and histories, but the game certainly takes its sweet time finally getting around to telling us what the hell is going on! It's so much of this wandering around, picking up items, and clicking around in vain to get things done. I won't lie. At times, I had to turn to a guide online to get through some parts, although that some should probably be more like a bunch. At first, it was just a way to finish this game in a timely manner, but some of these puzzles, I don't know how I would have come to the end without a guide. I mean, in the end, the logic makes a kind of sense, but there's no real way for you to arrive there naturally other than to wear out 3 or 4 computer mice with incessant clicking around. Singular pieces of otherwise mostly localized puzzles will be found on the other side of the map, with no real reference made to them, at least none that I found. For the most part, I have been pleased with the recent resurgence of point-and-click adventure games. The key to making them work these days, however, is to figure out what isn't working and fix the problems that are holding them back. This game is a start. They got some things right. You can double-click to exit an area and enter the next one instantly. This is a lifesaver when the next puzzle you get has you walking all the way across the map for the 28th time. That number is totally baseless. And they also added a mechanic that shows you exactly what you can click on that will get a reaction from the character. This itself was wondrously helpful, and what I like best is that they managed to work it into the story as well. There are a few problems they didn't fix. Half the time in these games is spent running around trying to interpret vague hints the game throws at you, but don't worry, this game gives you a hint system, which is totally bullshit. The Advice Seeker spell, as it's called, puts you in direct contact with the Marquis no matter where you are, so that he can help you with the puzzle. At least that's what they tell you it does. In reality, he only repeats the original line the game gave you in the first place, making the whole hint system basically non-existent. In the end, the game is not overly fun to play. It's dragged out and frustrating at times. I can see a lot of people giving up on this one before they get to the good parts, But let me tell you, there are good parts. Even with the gameplay and design issues, there is certainly a great story and script at work here. Even during the really slow and not very story-heavy middle section, the dialogue is still fun and the characters are interesting. I will say that the voice acting is a bit off at times. The characters don't have the intensity and emotion that the situation might otherwise warrant, and there were times when the volume of the voice acting would just drop right off, and the only reason I knew what they were saying was because of the subtitles.
I'm creating something that no one in Milestonia has ever seen.
Aside from these issues, the script is fun and engaging, using meta humor to poke at games, genre, and the tropes therein, and the story gets good. Like, really good. As you slowly make your way out of the drawn-out slog around town that is most of the second act of the story, the game begins to show you just how much of the fantasy gamut it ends up running. You travel to different environments and meet characters and creatures from all over the fantasy spectrum, from leprechauns to Japanese fox spirits to creepy wood sprites and a hippie magician. It's easy to see that there was a lot of heart and passion put into this world and its characters, and it's even sweeter to find out that this story isn't fooling around either. All the mystery of the beginning of the game does start to creep back into the spotlight, and I can't say too much as I don't want to give anything away, but the cheery tone of the game starts to fade over time, and there is some really creepy stuff going on towards the end. Not creepy as in they are legitimately trying to creep us out, but rather that we have no idea what's going on as the mystery gets deeper. In my mind, the best kind of creepy. As things start to fall into place, I found myself worried that the game might fall into overused story tropes that one might expect to find in such an adventure story, but I can say that the ending of the game and all of the reveals that led to it carried themselves brilliantly, and might actually be one of my favorite game endings to date. If you're a fan of the old King's Quest style point-and-click adventure games, there really is no reason for you not to play this game. There's nothing here that's going to seem out of place or like some kind of needless modernization, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it to everyone. This is a game that is heavily built around the player already being familiar with the genre and its tropes from the get-go. There is very little hand-holding, and it seems like not much was done to ease the culture shock players new to the genre might experience. All in all, Night of the Rabbit was an entertaining experience aimed at a rather specific audience. Give this one a try, but only if you're feeling adventurous.